观众朋友们好，现在是美国东部时间3月12日，这里是华尔街网报当日第一期节目。今天我们继续为您关注到的仍然是俄乌局势的最新进展。首先来看到几条突发新闻。乌克兰总统办公室宣布，由于政治和军事要求，批准俄罗斯在和谈中提出的请求是不可能的。目前，乌克兰总统办公室没有明确说具体的要求是什么，以及为什么不可批准。是导弹有成便携式防空系统，对协助乌克兰有效打击俄罗斯军队可以发挥关键作用。美国国防部高级官员在周五时表示，将大批军备受到冲突区有一定风险，武器有可能落入敌方之手，但是美国方面评估认为冒这个险是值得的。同时，五角大楼强调，乌克兰人被证明非常善于利用我们所提供的武器，他们非常懂得如何发挥创意。高度便携性导弹如毒刺地对空导弹则是其中一种便携式防空系统。在过去的战斗中，有导弹被丢失转售或被极端主义团体军火库收缴的情况。美国后来花了很多时间从阿富汗以及其他冲突区索回这一种便携式防空系统。此外，根据来自路透社的报道，五角大楼重新采用了快速反应小组，以回应盟友和乌克兰对于军购和转移武器大增的需求。路透社报道指出，美国国防部财办办公室近日忙于应对欧洲盟友的要求，包括通过第三方把他们的军备转移到乌克兰。反应小组在近日重启，旨在为加强协调和简化销售与转移武器程序。根据来自乌克兰内政部长的消息，在今天早上可能会开放6个人道走廊，让平民进行撤离。乌克兰国营电视台表示，开放人道走廊的城市包括被俄军围困多天的南部港口城市马里乌波尔。而来自俄罗斯国防部的消息则表示，俄罗斯对乌克兰发动了特别军事行动，至今已经摧毁了3491个乌克兰军事基础设施。乌克兰国防部发言人威胁表示，俄军会继续在广泛的前线向乌克兰进攻。同时，说起跟普京本人有关的情况，来自《纽约时报》的报道引述知情人士透露，美国官员正在审查一艘目前在意大利海滨小镇船坞中价值7亿美元的超级游艇的所有权，认为有可能与俄罗斯总统普京有关。美国情报机构还没有对于这一艘超级游艇的所有权做出最终结论，但是美国官员向《纽约时报》表示，已经发现初步迹象表明游艇与普京本人有关。《纽约时报》此前在周二报道，意大利当局正在搜查这一艘长达459英尺船只的所有权。了解情报的人士不愿意说他们到底掌握了哪些信息。美国官员表示，普京几乎没有把他的财富保留在自己名下，相反，他使用名义上由俄罗斯寡头拥有的住宅和船只。但是，通过各种空壳公司，普京有可能更直接地控制这一艘游艇。美国官员表示，在整个冠状病毒大流行期间，普京在黑海的俄罗斯度假城市索契度过了大量的时间，而这一艘游艇在2020和2021年的时候都曾经到索契旅行。财政部情报与分析办公室和海军情报局都在调查与俄罗斯寡头有关超级游艇的所有权问题。目前，司法部成立了一个特别工作小组，对受到制裁的俄罗斯寡头的资产进行调查。在周五，司法部官员在与记者的讨论中表示，该工作组将调查那一些帮助被制裁的俄罗斯官员或者是寡头隐藏其资产的人，这一些人可能面临与违反制裁或者是国际洗钱指控有关的消息。商务部最近公布的新规表示，如果飞机或者是游艇25%以上是由美国制造的飞机或者是船舶部件制成，就不能再运往俄罗斯。此外，说起跟中国有关的消息，中国驻大阪总领事薛健在个人推特上面说，从乌克兰问题可以得到一大教训，那就是弱者绝不可以做与强者吵架的愚蠢行为。他又将俄罗斯和乌克兰的局势联系到了中国和日本的关系。他说，对日本而言，中国是文化上的母国，如果没有与中国交流，就没有今天的日本。但是日本现状或许对中国连最低的敬意都没有，不管日本多想进入西方行列，是亚洲一员的事实都不会变，只能永远当二等国民。此番话引起外界普遍关注和争议。此外，再来为您关注到的是媒体舆论方面的消息。此前，中国媒体广泛配合了俄罗斯官方的宣传， 称美国和乌克兰有生物实验室，其中在研制生化武器。尽管这样的消息得到了广泛外界的否认，但是在几个小时之后，俄罗斯卫星通讯社又发表了一篇文章，题目是文件显示美国在外高加索和中国同时开展蝙蝠冠状病毒研究项目。其中写道，俄罗斯卫星通讯社的记者在研究美国机构文件时发现，五角大楼不仅在乌克兰与俄罗斯接壤的生物实验室对蝙蝠进行研究，从2017年开始，也在第比利斯美国卢加尔中心的秘密实验室进行研究。与此同时，美国国防部的承包商在新冠疫情爆发前不久，根据这个计划在中国研究了蝙蝠冠状病毒，一直持续到2019年。其中还说，根据文件，美国政府为这一些研究提供的总资金是1020万美元，其中650万美元分配给格鲁吉亚、亚美尼亚、阿塞拜疆、土耳其和约旦，还分配给中国370万美元。有观察人士指出，本来央媒带着1万拥俄大军帮着俄罗斯炒这个乌克兰生物实验室话题，已经有了1.5亿流量。但是几个小时之后，俄罗斯方面丢出这样的重磅炸弹，然后热搜也撤下了，戛然而止。所谓的友军害我，不过如此。
Russia's putting out a shower of lies about many things, but in particular, there's no truth at all to the idea that they're putting out that the United States somehow has secret biological weapons facilities in Ukraine. What is true is that in Ukraine, as in pretty much every other country, there are biological research facilities working on public health. And sometimes facilities like that handle some dangerous germs. And so the United States, over the years, has helped them make sure that those facilities are safe and secure. And obviously, it would be a problem if one of those facilities were to get smashed in the fighting, just as it would be a problem at a nuclear plant. It would certainly be illegal to use a chemical weapon. A chemical weapon is something that's intensely toxic. There are a variety of different kinds. A biological weapon is something that's either a virus or a bacteria, or it's a poison created by living things, which is called a toxin, which is sort of a biologically created chemical weapon in a certain sense. Use of either of those is banned under international law. But it is quite conceivable that Russia might decide to use them and then try to claim that no, it was the Ukrainians, or it was the Americans, or it was whoever else who did it. Which, by the way, they tried to do in Syria when the Syrian government used chemical weapons. Well, nuclear power plants are very robust facilities with huge concrete containment structures to protect them. So a stray bullet here or there is not going to be a problem for a nuclear power plant. But cutting off the electricity is a problem because of this ongoing heat that the reactors generate. You need electricity to run pumps and so on. So far, however, the Russians appear to have not be actually intending to cause a radioactive release. They could very easily do so at the site that they're in control of, and so if they wanted that to happen, it probably would have happened by now. So far, it's really an issue of could fighting inadvertently lead to an accident rather than shelling intended to lead to an accident. But when you're talking about nuclear war, you're talking about something else entirely. With two, what would be considered today very small nuclear weapons, the United States obliterated the Japanese cities of Hiroshima and Nagasaki at the end of World War II. And today there are thousands of nuclear weapons in the world. More than 90% of them held by either Russia or the United States. And that is definitely looming in the background of this crisis. Right now, there is a shooting war in the middle of Europe, and it's conceivable that nuclear weapons will be used. I think it's unlikely. I wished I thought it was inconceivable, but I think it's very, very unlikely that it would be between the United States and Russia. I think it's much more likely that Russia might, for example, use a nuclear weapon to try to shock the Ukrainians into submission if the war was going badly. There's a good amount of good news with respect to nuclear weapons as well. 85% roughly of all the nuclear weapons that the world used to have are gone. They've been dismantled. More than half of all the countries that used to have potential nuclear weapon material on their soil have gotten rid of it. There are only 9 states out of almost 200 countries in the world that have nuclear weapons. And 35 years ago, there were 9 states that had nuclear weapons. So we've managed to stem the spread of nuclear weapons, even through the collapse of the Soviet Union and all the chaos following that, a global black market nuclear network that was led by Pakistan's A.Q. Khan, secret nuclear weapons programs that were taking place in North Korea, Iran, Syria, Iraq, Libya. To get through all of that with no net increase is really an amazing public policy success story.